What I wanted to start off with that was in terms of stress management, people use various ways to deal with stress. Some people exercise, some people use sports, others do meditation, some just listen to music, or some just go out for professional help right away. So, given the challenging year this has been, during which relationships have been tested, loved ones lost to COVID, lost livelihoods. Just share your thoughts on the whole situation and if any religion addresses this issue at all, and where does Islam stand on this? So over to you, Dr. Shahzad.
Bismillah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much, Haris, for having me here today. It's always a pleasure to discuss views with the younger generation. As far as your question is concerned, actually, if you analyze, and I think all would agree, that stress is something which is related to our mental attitude. It comes out of our mind and it has its manifestation in our attitude. We feel low, we feel disappointed, we feel frustrated. At times, we would not like to go out of the house. At times, we would have a fear or for something. So it really affects our lives. And as I said, these are just manifestations. Its origin actually is from your mind and the way you think. So you see, in my humble opinion, the biggest contribution of religion is that it sets right the approach that we must adopt, and it tries to let us know and guides us vis-a-vis how our own mental attitude towards life should be. So, as I said, just as stress is something which emanates from the mind and manifests itself into actions of various sorts. So, to address something which emanates from the mind, it would have been only appropriate to address the mind and let it know how you can manage your stress, and how exactly is this whole situation going to fare, and what exactly is going to transpire if you continue with this behavior. So, the first guidance which the Quran tells us in this regard, and which puts us to some sort of rest, is that we have to first understand that this life has been created for a purpose. And one of the purposes, of course, there is a purpose that we have in our lives. All of us have our own professions to look after. We have our hobbies. We have our own activities. But other than that, the basic and the fundamental phenomenon and the basic premise that we need to understand is that the scheme of the Almighty, on the basis of which He has created mankind, is that He wants to select certain individuals who prove themselves to be people of grit, people of courage, people of strength, people who can stare challenges in their eye, people who can really uh, feel that if the going is getting tougher, they are also getting tougher. So you see, the purpose of the Almighty is to select individuals for another world who stand this test. And it is this test which He has actually uh, instituted in our lifetime. And the way through which He tests us is that He sends us adverse circumstances. This is one of the ways in which He tests us. So He wants to test our mettle. He wants us to prove ourselves to be worthy of another world in which maybe He has some other mission given to us. So that is precisely the attitude which the Quran wants to adopt, and it tells us that whenever things come your way, which look to be something which are really going to challenge you in life, they're going to bog you down, and they are going to really have a toll on your health, then always think that you have a purpose in life, and that purpose is to pass this test in shining colors, to bear the brunt of these problems that you are going to bear. These are challenges of life. And as you just said, that we have passed through a very tough year, and I don't think it's going to maybe end very soon as well, the pandemic that's going on. So you can clearly see that there is something which has affected all of us in a very, very strong way, in a very potent way. And if we see the hand of God behind this happening, perhaps we will console ourselves. Perhaps we will also find out that when God sends these circumstances in which He tries us, in which He tests us, there are a number of things which He would like to analyze. For example, what is our attitude? I mean, we are always happy in good circumstances. So he wants to see that if there are circumstances which go against our expectations, what exactly would then we behave? How exactly would then we behave? Because this is the part of that test. And then, of course, it's not just the element of the test there. There is another thing, and that is that at times God sends these circumstances which look to be very adverse to us, at times for our own betterment. For example, I think all of us would agree that we become strong individuals once we come out of the test. So you see, human personality, if you analyze it, and there are so many scholars who have done these studies, there are certain potentials which you can see, certain qualities which you can observe in us and which are, I mean, just before you. But there are certain other qualities which are latent and which are hidden in the personality that we have, and they only are called when the crisis time comes. So we have certain reserves which always remain hidden, and unless that crisis time comes, they never get to surface. So once crisis time comes, we have those hidden potentials. They start blossoming. They start coming out in a way that at times we don't even know, and we are surprised, and we are pleasantly surprised that, well, I was equipped with this quality as well, and I never knew. So as I said, besides being a test from God, they have these positive elements as well, that they make you stronger. They make your inner personality blossom much more. A lot of things come out of yourself which in normal circumstances would never have. And precisely for this reason, I think if you study history, you'll find that a number of creative things have happened in times of crisis. So after World War II, you'll see a host of inventions springing up as a result of the crises which were faced by a lot of countries. If you go back in history, you'll find even more such circumstances that whenever things were tough and people were tried and tested, their own creativity, especially if I look at literature and art, you can see literature and art blossoming in times of crisis, because this is when humankind is called to take hold of its reserves and put forth whatever it has. So I think another thing is that this element of creativity, this element of human advancement, this element of scientific progress, it also receives impetus in these times, and that is not a mean achievement. And besides that, you see, if I reminisce regarding the last 8 or 9 months that have passed, I can clearly say about my own self, and so many people also give this feedback, that one of the greatest blessings of this trial that we have gone through, or we're still going through, is that our family bonding has increased a lot. Look at us. We were people who had breakfasts, lunch, and dinners living in the same house at different times. But this pandemic has afforded us to come closer to each other, to strengthen those family values which were dwindling, and spend more time with each other, appreciate each other much more. And of course, fights have also increased, but then again, that's part of the package. The closer you become, you can love each other as well, and you can fight with each other as well. But as I said, that's something which is a byproduct. Primarily, this pandemic has afforded us this opportunity to come closer together. And last but not the least, it has made us realize that we are just pawns. I mean, the amount of arrogance at times which comes over us because of the fact that we think that we are the champions, we are the kings, we can do anything else. Look at what God has done. He has shown his might, he's shown his power, that something which is not even visible to us can cause such havoc, and it can change our lifestyles in such a huge manner. So it's also a means to maybe recognize God. I can think of instances in which regarding which people might have been given this opportunity to reflect more and let them know that in spite of all their advancement, in spite of all their power, they still have someone very powerful, extremely powerful behind all this, and therefore it affords them an opportunity to look behind these things, and as we say in philosophy, go to the first cause. So we are stuck in the immediate causes. We think that we are doing a lot of good things and a lot of inventions and a lot of advancement. But if we trace this back and go to the first cause, this is where the Almighty stands actually. And therefore, this could also be, as I said, an option and an opportunity to find God, to discover God, or to discover something that to let us know that we are not all in all and we are not controlling everything. It is God who is doing so. So to sum up what I've just said, I'll just say that the biggest contribution of religion is that it tells us that these circumstances, they befall all of us for two reasons. If I sum up everything I've said. So first thing is to just realize the fact that God wants to select us, test our mettle, and if we prove ourselves to be good enough, He is going to reward us by another mission maybe in the next life. And the second is that these calamities, so to speak, they are a blessing in disguise, I would say, because you can see a lot of things happening. You can see the world taking another turn, and you can see that something which was missing in our previous world is being compensated for. And therefore, we have to realize that everything which comes our way has some reasoning, has some wisdom behind it. It has some, as we call in Arabic or in Urdu, as some hikmah behind it. There's something which is there, but which at times we are not able to discover. So we have to sit back, we have to reflect, we have to understand that there is something which is happening, a change is going on. The whole world is now accepting a lot of things which it never did previously. For example, I can go on. I mean, look at the standards of cleanliness which our world had previous to this. I'm not talking about the developed countries. I'm talking about the 30%, which is a huge chunk of people who are living in poverty in the whole world. So standards of cleanliness, standards of hygiene, which were being totally disregarded, they are being looked upon so that the overall health of mankind is also improved. And I'm sure as cognizant individuals, all of you can think about a lot of more things which have helped us along. So my second point would be that these are basically blessings in disguise. And if we can see the hand of God behind them, then we are individuals who are afforded with the chance to come closer and closer to our Creator.